thank you everybody for joining us this afternoon. And I hope you found the open day interesting and informative. I know we had a little bit of technical difficulty at the start, but hopefully you've had a chance to attend some of our live sessions and view some of our videos. And obviously these will all be available to view after the event for, for a number of weeks afterwards. So you'll be able to come back and watch things that you may not have got to see during these past few hours. So my name is Ciara O'Connor. I work with the student recruitment team here at RCSI. And I'm delighted to be joined today by three members of our Compass team. So our Compass office is our Centre of Mastery, Personal, Professional and Academic Success. And the office is really responsible for looking after all elements of our students' journey at RCSI. So managing, the various different welfare elements, careers, learning supports, etc. So I'm joined here today by Sinead O'Kelly from Student Welfare, Niamh Mullen from Careers, and Jacinta Burke, who looks after academic development and learning accommodations at RCSI. So we're going to be here for the next 25 minutes or so, and we'll try and answer as many questions as we can regarding student supports available at RCSI. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to pop them into the Q&A box. And as I said, this is being recorded and will be made available. So while we're waiting for questions to start coming in, and as you can feel free to start putting those in the chat box now, I'm going to ask a couple of questions just to get started. So Sinead, I'll start with you if that's okay. You work with our student welfare team. I suppose the question I have is, obviously the transition to university life can be challenging for anyone, but the last 2 years have been especially difficult, obviously, as students adjust to remote learning, etc. So could you give us a sense of the range of supports that are available to RCSI students to help support them with their mental health or well-being throughout their studies at RCSI?
Yeah, so absolutely, Claire. The transition to university can be challenging for people. And one thing that I would say about that is at RCSI, everybody has a role in student well-being and supporting students on their journey. So whether that's the personal tutors, the library, the gym, student services, or ourselves in the Compass team, individual lecturers, all of the RCSI community are here to kind of work with students and help to ease that transition and make sure that they have whatever support they might need. I suppose in terms of specific well-being and mental health supports, throughout the year, we collaborate with the student union and other stakeholders within the university to run workshops and various events that focus on health and well-being and giving people skills and tools to be able to support themselves with that transition. We have a really good GP service, Mercer's Medical Centre, which works with the college. Internally, we have 4 student welfare officers who are all professionally qualified social workers. I'm one of them. So myself and my 3 colleagues are here to meet with people on a one-to-one basis to help them to make a plan for the academic year and to overcome any difficulties that they might be facing. We also have 2 counselling services, which is a great resource to have, and we're really lucky to be able to provide such extensive counselling support to our students should they need that at a point throughout their studies. And the final support that we have, which is quite unique to RCSI, is our student assistance program, which provides 24/7 support and information for students at RCSI. So that service is always there and always available if anybody does have a difficulty or an issue that they need support with, even outside of office hours.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for that insight, Sinead, into the supports available to RCSI students. Jacinta, I'll ask you next. You look after academic development and learning accommodation requests, etc. Can you explain that for us a little bit more? Tell us about your role and describe the type of supports that are available to RCSI students through your office.
Hi, Claire. Yes, and I suppose the important thing to say is that there's 2 distinct parts to this service. And I suppose the first part is the academic development, and the academic development supports all students, and that is to support their study strategies And when they're starting in a healthcare course, it's a really kind of heavy content-driven course. So a lot of students find that transition challenging, because often the strategies that they have developed in second level schools don't transfer over to this type of learning that's required. So we're here to help them to develop new strategies and to improve on the old study strategies that have worked from them. But many students find that they need to develop some new strategies, so we're here to help them. All students that have got into medicine, pharmacy, physio are very high achieving students, we know that, but often many students need to tweak or develop, as we say, new study strategies. And it can often take a while for students to realise that. So we're here to kind of help that transition for them. The other thing that's really, really important is that students need to develop time management skills that they may not have needed in the past. Often students, because we know they're high achieving students, will have been able to cram maybe at the end of semester. And students often, when they come into healthcare courses, find that that just isn't possible. And it's much, much more important to develop good time management skills from the start of a semester. So we're here to help. That's not learning support, if you like, in what people kind of think may have heard from at school. This is this academic development. It's literally what it says in the tin. It's developing your academic skills, and that's there for all students to avail of. The other half of our service is, as you say, is learning access and facilitation. And that's there for students that have a disability or access needs. And what we mean by that is maybe students that have not a disability, but will have a significant ongoing illness or a learning disability for which they need some reasonable accommodations. Also, we have students that may have other access needs. They may be single parents, they may be carers, or they may have other needs, other access needs. And we support students in their learning there. And where appropriate, we can provide reasonable accommodations for students. These can include exam supports. If students say have a visual impairment or a specific learning difficulty, we can provide some assistive technology to support them in their learning, some note-taking supports, and even some placement supports where appropriate in later years. If students have a disability, if they have a significant ongoing illness, and this includes a mental health condition or a specific learning difficulty, these require evidence support from an appropriate healthcare professional. And we do a learning needs assessment. So we meet with the students and we see how we can best support them. Whilst allowing students to meet all the competencies that they're required. It's really important for students to note we can't change the competencies that they can meet, but we can provide reasonable accommodations to allow them to meet these competencies.
Thank you so much, Jacinta, for that fantastic overview of the supports available. I think it's really helpful for students to know that, as they're making their choice for university. So thank you so much for that. Niamh, I'll move on to you now. So Niamh, you work with our careers team. So I suppose the end goal for all RCSI students and for all students in general is to be career ready by the time that they graduate. So could you describe to us some of the key services that are offered to RCSI students by the career services, please? And really what should students be doing to engage with the careers team, when they start at RCSI?
Yeah. Great, thanks Claire, thanks for having me and welcome to everybody here. So my name is Niamh Mullen and I am part of a team of 3 in the career team, and we are part of the overall Compass team. And I suppose firstly we work from a career model which we call the RCSI positive career model, and that's broken down into 3 stages. And like Claire said, initially when you start in RCSI, the stage you're at is career transition. So you're transitioning from, your second level education into third level. We then move into career choice and then move into career ready, which when you graduate is that we want all of our graduates to be ready and career ready. So regardless of what you're going to study in RCSI, these are the 3 stages that we see and support students through. The approach that we take is really a collaborative approach. So we will work with all students through one-to-one appointments. They are one-to-one career coaching and guidance consultations with all students. We also run workshops and tutorials that are part of the curriculum, but also workshops at certain times throughout the year that will be themed, because there will be certain criteria that will need to be met at that particular time. We also engage with employers in all sectors to ensure that, you know, when our graduates do graduate, and that they are career ready, and that we want to know what our employers expect from our graduates, so that we can tailor our career development program to ensure that graduates can meet those expectations. We also work very closely with our alumni team. We invite our alumni from across all of the schools to come and speak with students at various stages throughout their studies. And that's really to, I suppose, give an insight into, well, what can you expect when you graduate? What were these alumni doing at the time, the certain time that you might be at the time of the talk? We also run a mentorship program. Again, across all of the schools, we find that this is very useful for students, and indeed our graduates go on then to I suppose, give back and become part of that mentor program. Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably, I suppose, an oversight of all of the work that we do, Claire. It's important to, I suppose, also mention that we very much keep in touch with the professional bodies, again, across all of the disciplines, to make sure that we know, you know, what any changes that are coming up, so that we can adapt and make sure that we include this in our program.
Brilliant, thank you so much for that. It's great to have that insight into the career supports available to students, because obviously it's such an important element of the student's journey. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to pop them in. This is a Q&A session, so we do need your questions. Oh great, there's a question coming in here. So Leo, thank you for that. So just wondering, are there supports available for LGBTIQ+, and is RCSI generally an accepting environment for members of this community? So Sinead, I might pop that one to you if that's okay.
Yeah, so absolutely, RCSI I think is a very accepting environment, and our EDI unit, our Equality, Diversity and Inclusion unit, has done a huge amount of work in this area over the last number of years. So we were one of the first universities to launch, I suppose, our Trans 101 training, which has rolled out to a lot of staff and students. And we also partnered with TENI, the Trans Equality Network, to host kind of a pre-Pride event a number of years in a row, and work quite closely with them. So I think certainly RCSI does work around Pride and, you know, accepting students, I suppose, in terms of support for students who may be struggling with, you know, sexual or gender identity and may need kind of personalized support in that area. We would link you in with kind of local groups and things like that through maybe like Outhouse, where I belong to, and we also have a personalized counselor. So I think in terms of the supports available, there are quite a lot. I know Liz from our EDI unit is actually on the line today, so she's put in a link as well. So yeah, I think I've answered that question, hopefully. If I haven't, just pop me another question and I'll jump back on.
That's brilliant. Thanks so much, Sinead. And Liz, feel free as well. If there's anything you'd like to add, feel free to pop on as well. We'd be delighted to have you join us. And thank you, Leo, for that fantastic question. So I'll just look through and see what else is coming in here. So there's a question here, and Jacinta, you might be able to field this one, wondering if readers are provided for written exams.
Hi, Claire. So the answer to that is we normally try to provide assistive technology. We have college licenses for the text help, read and write. So the answer is yes, we do. But at third level, we try to make the students independent. So we have Medinkle, which is a specialized medical software, and this integrates with ReadWrite. So as I said, our aim is to try and make students independent at third level. So we try and actually use the assistive technology. We have the exam pens, Medinkle, ReadWrite, but if a student feels that this isn't working for them, we will provide a human reader for exams, but where possible, we try to make the student as independent as possible.
Great, thank you for that. And thank you for these questions. Please feel free to keep them coming. It's excellent to get them. So there's another question here, just wondering, is there a designated room for disabled students to go if they're overwhelmed? So I'm not sure, Jacinta or Sinead, you may be able to answer that one.
I suppose I'll start, and Sinead may add. We don't have a designated room for students with a disability, but we actually have designated rooms for any students that they can go if they feel overwhelmed in our main building. So whilst we don't actually kind of label it as this is a room for students with a disability, it is a room for students that's a safe, quiet space that students can go if they feel overwhelmed. And the student welfare officers are available to meet with any student that is feeling overwhelmed. Sinead, I don't know if you want to come in on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose there are a lot of spaces on campus that are quiet if you need a few minutes to get away. And like Jacinta said, there are rooms available. I suppose additionally we have on the kind of ground floor of 123 St. Stephen's Green, we have the Serenity Room and the Friendship Room, which are just really nice spaces to actually go and sit for a few minutes if you do need to decompress. And because they're on the basement floor, there's very little foot traffic, they're not used very often by, you won't have big groups of people walking by or anything like that. So it's a really nice space just to pop down for 5 minutes and take a breather. And there's also kind of meditation and tapes and things like that in there that sometimes is run in semester at 1 p.m. if anybody does want to pop down. During exam time and things like that, the gym generally run relax classes. So I think they were kind of running them as sleep sessions or nap sessions, that if you're in the library all day and you're feeling overwhelmed and you just need a break, you can go and take a quiet kind of 20 minutes lie down and relax. So certainly, that is something that is accommodated on campus, absolutely.
That's brilliant, Sinead, and those are really fantastic resources that are available to students. It's brilliant to hear more about those.
And Claire, can I just add to that, just to say that if there's any student that has a disability and does require, we have a special room for students that can be booked and organised and is on a swipe card access if they do have a facility that they need to take medication on a regular basis. So we do actually have a special room for any student that requires medication or any such need, and that's a swipe card access, so it is limited, unlike our Serenity Room.
Brilliant, thank you so much for that, and thanks for all of this information. It's excellent, and I suppose it leads on to my next question. So I guess, when a student starts at university, it can be really overwhelming. There's so much information coming at you, even just learning your way around the place and learning your timetable, etc. So in terms of beginning to engage with the Compass office and understanding the supports that are available there, could I ask one of you maybe to speak a little bit about how that works, say in first year for a student, how they start to learn about the Compass office and the supports that are available there for students?
Well, I suppose maybe I'll start again, and then maybe Sinead, you can follow on.
Thank you.
I suppose the first interaction that students will have an interaction both from the Compass team, but students also, because often they find, having interactions from all the members of the staff on the first day kind of very overwhelming. So each student or each group, a small group of students, will have peer mentors. So every student will have another older student to which they will meet. Hopefully at some stage in the future, people will be meeting again in person. For the last 2 years, it has been virtual, but they will have a named peer mentor, and they will meet them I'm not sure in September whether the meetings will be in person or virtually. I don't think any of us can say that at this stage, but they will meet them and they will inform them about the services of Compass and all the other college services, but they will also meet then the Compass staff and of course student services staff and all the Ciara staff as well. But their peer mentors are a great source of information and they meet their peer mentors. Each group will have 2 peer mentors and they will meet them in small groups of 6. So they will also meet other new students as well. So they will have that small group. So even if they forget something, somebody else in their group might remember it. But their peer mentors during the early days are available to them. They meet them a couple of times to answer any of those questions, because often it can be difficult for a new student to come back or to know where to go or to remember even, do I go to student services or do I go to Compass or do I go to my Ciara coordinator? So they have their peer mentor to act as that liaison, if you like, between that in that first instance to help them to navigate that. But they do have the staff as well, and they always have all the members of the Compass team. Sinead, I don't know if you'd like to add anything to that.
Yeah, the peer mentors are absolutely brilliant, and it's a great resource to have. Just somebody there to guide you when you're trying to find your feet and trying to kind of get to grips with the transition. I suppose in terms of our interaction from the team, as Jacinta said, during orientation week, we will, I guess, meet all of the students either in person, if it's, back to that in September, or virtually, and kind of run through all of the supports that are available in a more in-depth way, maybe than we've done today, and how to contact the team. So I suppose we are available to meet people. You can make appointments by email or by phone, or you can pop up to the Ciara desk and the Compass reception and ask to speak to a welfare officer or to make an appointment. So I suppose we are around campus and we aim to be approachable. We aim to kind of work with people, and really the great thing about RCSI is that if you don't know where to go, somebody will help you and will direct you, whether that's with your mentor, a personal tutor, your faculty coordinator in the Ciara office, or somebody in student services. Everybody is really friendly and here to help, and our front desk and our porters are brilliant as well. So really there is a lot of information there and guidance for students if they are stuck.
Brilliant, thank you so much. And yeah, I agree that the peer mentoring program is absolutely fantastic, because I think it's just great to know that there's someone who knows their way around and is there to help you, because it obviously can be so overwhelming when you first start. So we received another couple of questions here that I'll ask you. So the first one, I realize this might seem a funny question. There's no such thing as a bad question. Given that RCSI is such a multicultural college, do Irish students fit in happily? So, I mean, I think from speaking to students myself, the answer would be yes, but maybe you might have an insight into that.
Yeah, thanks, Claire. So yeah, I meet with a lot of students either in a group setting or one-to-one, and the wonderful thing about my role is I'm meeting with students from all different backgrounds and all different cultures. I wouldn't say that if some students perhaps have a challenging period of time, that depends on their background or their culture. It's independent outside of that. So in my experience, I would say all RCSI students that I speak to absolutely love it here. We are so fortunate that our graduates keep coming back to offer their support to current students. So I suppose that speaks for itself. So yeah, I would say that all students fit in happily.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that insight, Eve. So the final question that I have here is wondering about the teaching style at RCSI. So would you say the teaching style is very self-directed with lots of independent research, etc., expected of you, or is it accompanied with a lot of tutoring? So I suppose the broad answer is that there's a range of teaching styles and it changes as you go along in the course, but I'll put that out to the group there.
Jacinta, you might want to come in there as well, but just I suppose to add on to what Jacinta mentioned earlier is that we aim to develop independent learners of our RCSI students, that they go on to be independent. So in that regard, yes, we try to encourage self-directed learning. However, as you hear from Jacinta, Sinead and myself, there are such a huge amount of support for students perhaps that are struggling at particular times or with a particular topic or whatever's going on. So there is always somebody there to support you if you're finding that self-directed learning particularly challenging.
Yeah, and I think, while third level is self-directed, but I think the RCSI, there's a lot of, there's case-based tutorials, a lot of there's a lot of different activities. It's not just lectures, that there is an awful lot of additional types of tutoring and teaching going on. There's a lot of small group tutorials. So even in foundation year, there's laboratory workshops, there's small group workshops, there is, as I said, tutorials. So there's a lot of things that supplement the lectures. So it's not just throw you all into lectures for 40 hours a week and tell you to go off and learn it. There is, there is a lot of support there. But of course, it's like everything else, you have to engage. So there's no use going to a small group tutorial and sitting and looking at the wall. You actually have to look and take part. You have to do, the work beforehand. So in that sense, yes, it is self-directed, but there is a lot of support there. There's a lot of, you can ask any questions in the tutorials. There's various supports and times that people can go to ask questions. So yes, it is self-directed, but there is a lot of activities to support you in your learning, and a lot of, for the lectures, you can then revisit the material in the various types of learning activities that are there to reinforce the material.
Brilliant, thank you so much, and that's fantastic. So we're just getting to the end of the session now. There are a couple of questions that are coming in. The question here, wondering for foundation year, can we do it if we've done 2 science subjects for the Leaving Cert? So I'm not sure if this person asking this, if you're a CAO applicant. So if you're doing 2 sciences for the Leaving Cert, you would likely be offered a place on our 5-year program. So that would be directly into the 5-year. If you're doing 1 science and you're offered a place at RCSI, it would generally then be into the 6-year program, which incorporates the foundation year. So hopefully that's answered that. Yeah, so if you don't do biology, that's fine. If if you're doing chemistry, sorry, I'm just seeing the text come in here as we speak. So yeah, if you're doing 1 science, again, you can apply, that's fine, and you'd more than likely be offered then a place on our 6-year program if you've got the 1 science. But all our entry requirements are listed in a lot of detail on our website, which is rcsi.com/Dublin. So we'll wrap it up there. As I can see, we're just coming up to 1 o'clock. So thank you all so much for your fantastic and your thoughtful questions today. And thank you so much to Jacinta and Sinead and Niamh for being so helpful with your information and being, giving us those great insights into the supports available at RCSI. This session has been recorded and will be made available on the Open Day webpage in the next couple of days if you want to watch back any sessions that you attended or that you were unable to attend. And there's a number of videos available now. The event is ending now, the live part of it, but there are many videos available on the webpage. So I would encourage you to go back and check out things that you may not have had a chance to look at earlier. Thank you everybody for joining. And again, thank you for your engagement throughout. If you do have any further questions, or if we didn't manage to get to your question today, you can email us at admissions@rcsi.ie. You can also chat to our students. So if you go to rcsi.com/Dublin/chat, there's the option there to speak to some of our current students, and they'll be able to give you further insight into their life at RCSI. And you can also follow us on Instagram. There's a competition running today. If you post a photo to your story, I believe, of you engaging with the Open Day, you'll be entered into a draw to win a voucher if you tag RCSI_student life, which is our Instagram page. I think that's all the information covered now. Again, thank you so much for joining. I hope you've enjoyed our Open Day. I hope you found it useful, and I hope for us to see you join us at RCSI shortly. So thanks everybody again for joining. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.